This is a story about a quiet boy who loved listening to the sea. Maybe that's you. If so, turn up your volume, because I think this one's for you. It's about a young boy from a fishing village on an island off the coast of Spain. His name was Yunis, and he wasn't known for being loud or boisterous. He didn't yell or call out like most kids his age. He didn't get into scrapes or fight with other children. He didn't shout for attention or make a lot of noise. Because of that, some of the villagers would call him Little Mute. It wasn't unkind, not really, but they often said it without thinking how he might feel about it. They probably thought he couldn't understand their words, not like we do here. And to be fair, Yunis did spend a lot of time lost in his own little world. He'd sit for hours on end on the beach, listening to the rhythm of the waves, the cries of the seagulls, and the distant calls of the fishermen returning home with their catch. He liked to imagine that the sea was telling him stories and secrets, and maybe it was. One thing he always carried with him was this. It was a big, smooth seashell that he'd found washed up on the shore one day. When he put it to his ear, it sounded like the rest of the world faded away. All he could hear was the heartbeat of the sea. Now, one afternoon when Yunis was sitting by the shore, just as he loved to do, the sea told him something new. It told him its name. Its name was Calypso, and she asked him for help. She sounded scared and weak. "Help me," she whispered. "Help me, Yunis." And then the sound of the sea grew faint, and then it stopped altogether. The only sound now was the lonely cry of a gull. So Yunis did the only thing he could think of. He took his little boat and he went out into the sea to look for her. As soon as he reached the middle of the bay, the sea began to churn around him. A whirlpool formed, and before he knew what was happening, he was pulled under the surface. Yunis panicked. He couldn't swim. What was he doing out there in the middle of the ocean? Then he noticed something strange. Instead of water filling his lungs, air came rushing in. And as he went deeper and deeper, everything glowed with an ethereal light. Then, suddenly, he landed with a bump on something soft. Coughing and spluttering, he looked around him in amazement. Where he had expected to find cold, dark water, he saw nothing but color. There were corals that glowed like jewels and strange, beautiful fish that swam past him. Looking down, he realized he wasn't in water anymore. He was on land, only it was land that had never been on any map, for this was the secret kingdom of the sea. As Yunis stared in wonder at the beautiful creatures swimming around him, he felt a gentle nudge on his shoulder. Turning, he saw a turtle unlike any he had ever seen before. It was huge and ancient-looking, with moss growing on its shell and barnacles clinging to its sides. "Welcome to Aqualis," the turtle greeted him kindly. "I see you are not from around here." No," Yunis stammered. "I'm from the village on the mainland. But how did I get here?" "By following the song of the sea, little one," the turtle said slowly. "That's what brings all of us here, those who can hear the song and those who make it." "Song? I didn't hear any song," Yunis said, confused. "Oh, child," the turtle sighed. "The song of the sea is fading? That's why you came here. The creatures of the sea are losing their voices. Their song is being stolen." Just then, a tiny mermaid with flowing red hair swam up to them. "Can you help us?" she asked. "Please bring back the sea's song. Please save our voices." Before Yunis could answer, the ancient turtle spoke up. "Don't worry, little one. You don't have to be brave or strong to help us. You just need to care." And with that, the turtle, the mermaids, and many other sea creatures set off, with Yunis following closely behind them. They swam past kelp forests that shimmered like gold, over meadows of seagrass, and through abandoned ships that were now homes to seahorses and Finally, they reached a dark trench that seemed to go down into endless darkness. "Is this where the song is being taken?" Yunis asked nervously. "Yes," replied the turtle sadly. "There's a creature living in the depths who feeds on silence. It takes the sea's voice for itself and traps it in a giant pearl." As they descended into the dark trench, Yunis could feel the water getting colder. Soon, the only light came from the glow of the creatures around them. Bioluminescent jellyfish pulsed with eerie light, and tiny anglerfish blinked their lanterns at them curiously. Then just ahead, Yunis saw it. Resting on the seabed was a giant black pearl that pulsed with a faint light, and around it swirled a vortex of shadows. From the shadows rose a creature unlike anything Yunis had ever seen before. It was tall and thin, with long flowing limbs that whipped around it like tentacles. Its face was pale and drawn, and its eyes burned like hot coals. "Who are you?" Yunis asked timidly. "I am the silencer," it hissed, "and the ocean's voice belongs to me now. You cannot take it back." Despite being afraid, Yunis stepped forward. He didn't have any weapons or armor. All he had was his lantern, the one that the old fisherman had given him to help light his way in the dark. But Yunis knew that inside that lantern was more than just light. Inside was every sound he'd ever heard. He thought of the old fisherman's gruff but kind voice. He thought of the laughter of children playing on the beach. He thought of the songs his mother used to sing to him. He thought of the splash of waves and the cry of gulls, the crackle of a fire and the murmur of leaves in the wind. All these sounds and so many more were trapped inside the lantern, waiting to be set free. Taking a deep breath, Yunis opened his lantern wide. The moment he did, the sounds rushed out, chasing away the darkness and filling the ocean with music and light. The silencer recoiled in surprise and then pain. "No! My voice! My precious silence!" it screamed. But the sounds were too strong. They tore through the shadows, breaking them apart, until all that remained was a wisp of smoke and a faint echo. And as the last of the shadow dissipated, the giant pearl fell from the silencer's grasp. It rolled a few times and then burst open. A beautiful sound filled the ocean. It was the sound of the sea, and it was stronger than ever before. All the creatures of the sea began to sing, their voices mingling together in a joyful chorus. Then, as quickly as he had arrived, Yunis found himself back in his boat. Sunlight streamed down on him, sparkling on the waves. Around him, the sea sang its song, and he could hear its laughter on the wind. News spread quickly through the village about Yunis and his adventure. Everyone wanted to speak to the quiet boy who had saved the sea. But Yunis didn't mind. He had friends now in the sea, and he knew they were singing his name. And now, whenever the sea whispers to him, Yunis remembers that it doesn't take a loud voice to make a difference. Sometimes the quietest voice can be the loudest of all. If you liked this magical tale, you might also love another story about courage and kindness. Click here to dive into an underwater world and discover what it means to be a hero, no matter how small you are. See you there!